Welcome to MalFramework tutorial number 37, and we will go over the Intel module. This module adds Intel to objects that can be picked up by players. Malburn also has created an Intel creator tool. When you click the link, it's found here. It is quite handy. It works very well. To configure it, configure the Intel in the Intel SQF. So when you are in the folder structure, you go to Mission Framework, Config, Intel, and he's talking about this Intel SQF. So when you open that Intel SQF, this is what I have made previously. These are examples, but this is my first Intel, ID 0. It's read a notepad. It tells you some verbiage. It takes you 5 seconds before you read it, and it does not disappear, and it's global, shared globally. The second one, or ID number 1, because you start with 0, it's read a notepad. You know, this verbiage takes 5 seconds to read it before you get the actual verbiage, and this time the notepad disappears and it is shared globally. When I say shared globally, that means it's the Intel is then passed to every player, and it's, if you go into map screen, there's a section where it shows the Intel. So how would you use this Intel creator tool to create the Intel SQF or your Intel objects? So we'll just copy what I have here. So my first Intel 0, is read notepad, right? It's right here, read notepad. And then I'll just copy this verbiage straight to it. This is what you would see after 5 seconds. That's how long it takes to pick it up. And delete object after the Intel was acquired. I don't want to delete the object, so I leave it unchecked, but I do want to share it globally, so I check that. Now I want to do another Intel, so Intel number 1. And I say, again, read notepad. And I just copy the verbiage in there. Again, it's 5 seconds, but this time I want to delete the object after the Intel is acquired, and of course still share globally. Then I say generate. So what you have here is read notepad. Here's the first verbiage, and then it goes to, false to not delete the object once read, and then true to share globally. If it makes it any easier, you can just copy this to clipboard, and when you put it in here, you could then separate it. So this is what it would look like. Now these are commented out. It just helps you keep track of which Intel you are, which Intel you're modifying. And this, you can put this here to make it look just like that. And it says this file was generated with the Intel creator tool. Because it's commented out, these things, it doesn't read any of that. It only reads in this bracket, comment out this, comment out, reads this, and then finish bracket. Now, if you wanted to, you could also do it this way. Let me reload the page. All right, if you were just going to do these one at a time, because you're still like building your mission. So I just say read notepad, and I put this verbiage in here. 5 seconds, don't, and share. And I could just generate. And you have, you know that you only need that part of it. Actually, you only need that part of the code. So I could copy that, knowing that it's got to be in these brackets. And let's just say I was doing Intel number 3. or sorry, 2, well, 3. And you know that all you need is that, and a period after it. Sorry, a comma after it. You can put a comma after the last one. You don't need to, but it's good practice. So the only difference is you would need to change this number. It doesn't matter what this says once you start putting it over here. So here I'll do another example. I'm gonna generate another Intel and just add it to this. So I have 0, 1, 2. I know this is going to be Intel 3, so and I say I don't know, rummage through trash and found a diamond ring. No, that's dumb. A notebook indicates the enemy's, no, I know what. An enemy map is found in the trash and indicates current enemy positions. I didn't spell that right. Yeah, missions. We'll just say we'll delete the object, and you know what? I don't want to share it globally. I just want whoever went through that trash to find it. So I would say generate. It generates the code. All I need is that, because it's, you know, these brackets are already started, and I can just say that right there. So Intel 0, 1, 2, 3. Now in my mission file I only have 2, so I'll just go ahead and get rid of these. But that's how you use the Intel generation or Intel creator. We'll go back to the mission file, and right now it's just these 2 notepads. The notepad is in this. It's actually not a notepad, it's trash, but I was saying that it's like a notepad in this trash. And you have to put this part of the code in it, which is right, I get from right here. And what that does is you say this object, in this case it's the trash pile, ID of the Intel, it's the first one, so I want it to be 0, so I put 0 here, and it says search for Intel, and I'm using the animation hold action search CA, and then calling this function. The second bit of Intel is right here. And let me get this trigger unsynced to it for right now. The second bit of Intel with the ID of 1 is that notepad right there. And on the notepad, it says this with a ID Intel of 1. Read notepad, hold action search CA. So this number right here, the first one was 0, this one is 1. That tells it where to look in this Intel SQF. Which Intel am I reading? Oh, okay, the first one was 0, that one that we just looked at was 1. So how does that look in the mission? When I come in, I'm going to go into Zeus and make my unit invincible, just in case we run into some AI and they start shooting at me. I want to not die, and I want to cover this Intel. So right now you're not going to see anything about the Intel over here in the left hand corner. invincible. Gonna make myself invincible. And I'm going to teleport to where I know Intel 1 is. Nope, it's over here. So that animation where it says hold space to search for Intel, that hold, I think it was hold action, what did it do? Hold action search CA. That's what that is. And it's to search for Intel. So this should take 5 seconds, and the trash pile should not disappear. Because remember, we put false on it. So it automatically will open up the map, and if the task had already been so my tasks were all on a timer, and so that's why it's not showing. But it would show the next task. But now you have mission intel, read notepad, Kang Village appears to have been abandoned, blah 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 blah, shared globally. So that was the first one. If you remember, there was that task that just popped up for search Kang Village, which I already did. But what I did was I turned off the trigger to it so it won't complete. Even though I read the intel on the real mission, it will complete, but not now because I unsynced the trigger to the intel. Anyway, now for the next intel is at Xi-So. Let me see if I can. We'll go to Xi-So, where the next bit of intel is. Right here. And there's that notepad. Get up to it. And there is the search for intel and that hold action. It tells you what I had written in there. And as you can see, here was the first one. There's the second one. So they are saved bottom to top. And the notepad had disappeared because remember I set that one to true. So that's how the intel works. Get away from that radio, it's quite loud. If you have any questions about intel, let me know. Real quick, I'll show you how I set up the trigger for that. So for both of those intels, I set up a task. So the task was, it was the owner's blue 4. That one happened to be task 2 at the Search Kang Village, the first one. The title was Search Kang Village. It showed you a marker. You click on it and an image. The destination was a module position. It was created. I used the search icon, always visible and show notification. I synced the set task state to completed. I synced it to the created task. But that task wouldn't show until task 1 was completed, because remember this was task 2. So in this mission I'm wanting them to do the tasks in order. So as soon as task 1 was completed, that trigger fires, which shows this task. So they come to do this task. It's to search this village, basically. When they find that piece of that big lump of trash, and they read the notepad in it or the paperwork, it looks for that intel, and because I'm having them disappear, it's searching to see if that intel is alive. And because I've said that the intel is not alive, that's why I have it disappear, then it fires this trigger right here to complete the task. And the one thing I'd have to do is sync it to the pile of garbage. Can't remember which pile of garbage it was. It was this right here. So once task 1 was complete, this trigger fires. It shows this task, tells the players to move to King Village to search it. They start searching it. They look at the trash. They find that icon. They read the intel. When it disappears, this trigger fires, which fires the set task state to completed. And then this trigger up here when trigger 2 is completed, it shows this task, which is search Xiso Village, which is task 3. Same thing, it's a marker picture, pretty much the same way I set up the first one. And this one needs to be synced to that notepad, which is right there. So when the players come up here and they search the notepad, it disappears, which causes this trigger to fire because it's looking for Intel 1. And the notepad is variable name Intel 1. It fires that trigger, which completes this task, or lets this task complete this task. I know that's a little bit complicated, but I just wanted to show you how I set up that task and triggers, because we will do a video on that, and that will be quite the complex video, because I think that's one of the harder things to do in ARMA, is set up tasks and completed tasks and so forth and so on. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you have any questions, let me know. See you in the next time.